All right, people. I got a special plan here. It's very different than the usual, the shorter term plans. This is more of a longer term plan. I'm a long term investor. Buying also shares. I've done, multiple dozens and dozens of option plans that made great gains. This is another one where maybe someone wants to simply just make some great money, 100% gains, but put more into something like this where you put in you use it in your tax-free savings account. People can usually trade in those, right? So or whatever. But this is more of a longer-term plan. But let me explain this because this is more for. There's several ways one could do this. You could start with this, as one of my other plans, or more of a longer-term plan. Are after earnings. So let's talk about this. Apple, this is a special long-term plan to make huge gains in the February 16, 160, 218 calls, 2018 calls. I will explain the facts. But this will be for after earnings. So let me explain this, okay, people? So Apple has two key pivot points right now, 155 to 156 as resistance, okay? And 142 is support in this point. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. I'm going to explain the details inside this video now, right? Also, I will also make an update after earnings, but this plan could be used to decide what to do after earnings to engage in this idea as well. But I mean, I always make an update to this as well. But this is an idea, a plan that I'm thinking of doing for after earnings. Okay, so we have these two key pivot points. So in my opinion, one of the things I think is going to happen is Apple's going to try to attempt this area, 154 to 155 area, before earnings. After earnings, it could be where it drops the stock, okay, temporarily. This is what I'm thinking here. And then again, inside of this resistance, 155 to support, is a new reactionary zone, a middle ground, okay, people? Because the targets are, in my opinion, 180 to 200, by the end of the year. Okay, this stock, okay, fundamentally, technically, is definitely set up for those two numbers. It could go even, this being the lowest end, the 180. But of course, as time goes on and we make the moves, I will know more if we're gonna go here than here, right? But I, based on a lot of things I'm looking at, the fundamentals, the technicals, the history, a lot of things. And again, look where we are today. We are at, the stock is hit as high as this keeps going higher, and I know this stock from a long history of the stock before making huge gains in this before the split. We had a 7-to-1 split just a few years ago, where when the 7-to-1 split hit, the stock started at $80. Well, I bought in a gain after the huge run it had up before, right? Again, this is as a long-term investment. I'm not talking about the option trades, but I thought about this. How can some people what's a great situation here now? Because Apple has been, in this sort of, hasn't really gone up a lot, but it's now set up for this, move to 200. The 180 to 200. But someone going in with these options can make a lot of money. Okay, so again, buying above these key pivot points is one way to engage, but we might have a thing where I believe that earnings come in and the stock opens lower but does not go below 142. Even if it did, it wouldn't mean anything, but this is what I believe. This is 142, lowest it goes. And now if it was to go lower, so the key here is we're going to see after earnings, do they want to take this above this level or do they want to stay above this level? And then as a long-term investor, we will then make a decision after earnings. You could even engage in these as the earnings, and I'm going to explain that at before the earnings right now. So let's go take a look at these options so I explain you. And this is the key option. Okay, you want to be in a middle ground. It could be 150s. You want to take the 150 to 160 to make these great gains. You'll make 500% gains or whatever you put in. If you put $10,000 into this idea, you're going to, we'll go on the lowest end. We'll say 300% gains. You'll triple your money. Whatever you put into this investment, you'll triple it. High odds, greatly in your favor. That's the idea here. If you want to take something like this, but again, this is for could be done really after earnings to make a decision. It doesn't mean we get in right away, but we want to see what happens after earnings, how we trade in these two areas. But as we pop through this level, that will be the signal of these numbers. That's my point here. All right, people. So let's go take a look at the options. All right, people. So here we are at the Yahoo Finance, and Apple closed at 149 here, July 14th. And again, this will be recorded as well, right? February 16, 2018. These are the options I'm looking at, and so here's what they cost right now. Okay, so at the moment they cost $585,000. Let me tell you a story here. I'll give you an example with BA. Just 1 month time in the options. Okay, I posted a plan for BA, and this is when BA was around $192. This is where I have this idea come up in my head too of another way, when we have a proper setup and all that stuff. So those options, okay, people, those options costed less than $1. But because BA is in the money now, a lot of the money, the same options that cost $1 are at $8 a piece. So that means if you invested $1,000, your $1,000 turned to $8,000, and that was using monthly options. We're using leaps here, okay? And believe me when I tell you, if Apple is trading way above these levels, those options are going to gain, going to make some strong gains. They're going to make some very strong gains, right? You can see what's in the money now. If you're looking at these in the money, $2,230 for the 130s that are in the money, right? And if you look at the 130s, right, that's about $20 in the money, right? So your investment here can go 400, can go 3-4 times whatever it is. Especially even more, especially if Apple goes to 200. This is the idea. And I imagine what these will be worth, even though they're cheap. But anyway, so this is the idea, people. All right. But right now, the idea is that you could try to engage in these now before earnings and get a feel of it, how it runs up into earnings. Okay. And you can see there's a lot of open interest here. There's a lot of open interest here. Look at this, 11,000. Look at this key pivot point that I talk about, 11,000. Not a lot of trading in these, but 11,578. Now I have a plan, by the way. I'm going to show you something. I have a shorter term plan that I'm going to put up, the Apple plan, July the 15th. I have a shorter term plan with options. You can check out this video here to engage. But this plan here, again, is this big picture that I have. I think that Apple's at a key pivotal point, okay, people? And that we can make these great gains, and I will be making updates, but I wanted to shoot it out, and it's an idea, okay? It's an idea for after earnings, and I'll probably make an update, but I wanted to, give people an idea. This is an idea that I had, and I really honestly think that the way the company is set up fundamentally with all the products they have, especially the iPhone 8, and I mean, there's just have a lot of money between, their Apple, they just set themselves up for a huge revenue gain. I mean, this company is just set up to make lots of money. So the odds of them become a $200 stock is very high. I think people are blind to the facts. I mean, I see it more. It seems more and more clear to me that Apple is going to be a $200 stock than ever before. But fundamentally, technically too, there's a lot of evidence. The way the charts are moving, and what I've noticed, and the pattern, the basing, and a lot of things is that This is a new pivotal point for you to make good money to that run to 200 with options. And someone can do that with a small amount of money. Like, for example, if all someone did was, if you wanted to put $5,000 down, that 5,000 turns into 15,000. That's good money for some people, right? And again, so on and so forth. I mean, and you don't, because to buy the shares of Apple is something for a lot of people. To buy a lot of shares, to buy 1,000 shares of Apple is something most people are not able to put down. But if you buy these, if you buy the calls, especially leaps, you can make a lot of money at what you can afford. Um, because the odds are very in favor of it becoming 180, okay, to $200 stock. And as I showed you in the example, it's a good chance that you'll do 300, 400% gains. Options might do even better. But between 300 to 400%. So whatever you're inside, whatever you put inside of that, if it's a $5,000 investment, it's now turned to 15,000, or so on and so forth, as an example. So there you have, people. You see the standard power trigger trade. It's going to appear here and then the video circle format. I make a lot of great plans, especially a lot more shorter term option plans that make great gains. But of course, with those, that's a different animal. Those are short-term, quick. This is more of a longer-term idea, and we still don't really want to get into it. You could get into it if you want to use some of them, but the key is to understand the two pivot point. In my opinion, Apple has a key pivot point right now at 155 as a new start, and that 142 is a support. So there you have, people, a special detailed plan on Apple. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video.